Do you know how far it's gonna be from your current house? There's a certain distance, right?
Larry, how far away does a garage have to be from the house? Can be attached?
If
You
you,
go right up to it, or
if you put a firewall.
nope,
More firewall.
that went away. The only thing is if they attach it, he's got to put, well, he's probably got siding on his house, so it'll be okay.
Okay, so at one point it's 5 feet and a little bit more on the other.
It was 39.9 feet between the corner of the house and the property line.
Okay,
He's got a 24-foot garage,
yep, and it's just
that gives 15 feet,
correct.
so he's got 5 foot on one side and 10 on the other.
10 between the house and the garage roughly. Does the board have any questions? Is there anyone here to speak for or against this application? Please stand, state your name and your concern.
If there's no requirement for spacing between the house and the garage, why couldn't you just move the garage closer to the house?
Water will be running in between that, just from the flow of the property.
I'm sorry.
You're saying the
drainage in
flow of the-
ground. Yeah, that's a low, close to the low point of the backyard. This is what my brother-in-law explained to me, I don't know a whole lot about it. Trevor Morris, he built it.
Well, you can solve that drain tile. If the problem is we have a question that is the request substantial?
Oh, okay.
And so you need 15 feet, and you're asking for 10. So that's,
From the garage to the house?
no, from the property.
Oh,
Or
okay.
the side, right?
So you're asking for 10-foot relief out of a required 15, so that is substantial, as opposed to your point, if you flip the distances, you only had 5 feet and maybe some drain tile in between the buildings, and then 10-foot.
Right, I think you want to leave some space there, so there's not many windows in that house, so you want to block off all the windows with the garage.
Is it gonna be one story?
No siding or roof next to the house.
I noticed that the way it's drawn, it's angled on the property line.
Correct.
I would just say that the shortest distance to the property line, 5 feet.
Right. Do you have a clear property line? Do you know where that line is?
Yeah.
You got the pin, so you know exactly.
Right.
Is there gonna be overhangs on the garage?
Not much, just a little bit of weed.
Because the 5 foot would be to the eave,
All right.
not to the wall.
All right.
And there's plenty of space between you and your neighbor, it looks like.
House garage, yeah.
Does your neighbor know what you're doing? You obviously got a postcard. that
My
they
sister and brother-in-law own the property.
What's the peak height of the building gonna be, and once it's constructed, what's the highest point it might be?
You did say it's a 1-story, but
I don't have the,
is it regular trusses, or do you know what roof it's gonna be trusses? So
It's actually a 50, What would that get it to? Cause we can go up to, you can go up to 35 feet right in town for residential.
We got rid of it.
What's that?
We got rid of it.
So what's the max height right now? Anything? Oh, I'd be curious what they're proposing as far as the height of the building compared to what the neighbor's house is.
So 12 pitch maximum. You'd be 12 foot higher than.
So 22
10
feet
foot,
roughly.
22 max. Most likely it's gonna be 7 feet, 4, 12, 5 foot.
You know how high the garage ceiling is gonna be?
Inside,
10 feet.
it's gonna be high, because we're not gonna put a second floor in there, and then the crawl space.
Just being used as a garage.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so 10 feet probably.
Does the board have any other questions? All right, we're gonna discuss this after the hearings. We got one more hearing. You're more than welcome to stay, or you can call the town office and we're gonna get the results.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Oh my gosh, I did not. Did I give the application to anybody?
Oh, no, because Jerry forgot to do. Decisions.
Oh, I've got one.
One month off.
You looking just for a blank one?
No, she usually the part.
Did she fill them out usually?
Yeah.
The names? Okay.
You
I don't
got
have
last
that.
month off?
I got a blank.
Did we have last month off?
Yeah, there was no meeting last month.
So,
I skipped town one time, everybody bails.
today is the what?
12.
Cause you were just up in Alaska again, were you? When did you get back?
3 weeks ago.
How much gold you find? How many ounces? You're not gonna say, are you?
They're getting, they're doing,
Fill up the top.
they're doing good.
Okay.
Okay, here's
So I'll let you do I'm gonna let you do the one that we just did. And Harry, you're gonna do this next one.
Okay.
fill out the top so you guys know.
All right, the second hearing. A public hearing before the ZBA of the town of Sullivan will be held Thursday, August 12th at 7 o'clock to consider the application of Joseph and Susan Zamlowski, SBL 3.2-5, property located at 9357 Hitchcock Point Road, Bridgeport, for an area variance to build an addition to their existing home, 3 feet from the east property line. The above application is open for inspection at the town of Sullivan building during regular hours. Persons wishing to appear at such a hearing may do so by person, attorney, or other representative. Joseph or Susan, are you here? How are you guys tonight?
Very well, so help
Super.
yourself.
Good to meet you. You as well, thank you. It's kind of explanatory. You have copies of the survey?
Yep.
Yep.
And pictures.
And pictures, I thought the pictures would help. We had to have them anyway for elevation survey, so. Actually, on the survey, it's showing 3.6 feet to our neighbor's property, so. It says 3 in the announcement. Technically, we need 8 minus 3.6, 4.4, I guess you round off. But when they subdivided this years ago, I guess, they didn't give us much to work with. We've only been there 3 years. And basically, we have that concrete walkway between our existing house and our neighbor Hoyt. I did talk to him tonight, and we talked to him before. He's fine with it, he's a super neighbor, just a godsend to have there.
So it's Lyle too.
Yeah, I think we might have mentioned it to, the other side, it says Kelly Newkirk, but it's a different owner now. And there's one other house within 500 feet, but that's past Carl's house, it's on his, east side as well. So our rationale, or why we need to do this, is because it's a, like a lot of places built near water, it was maybe started out as a summer home and all. The downstairs is not very large. Our main bedroom and our main bathroom is upstairs, 13 stairs. We're thinking, you know, as we age and get older, we kind of like to have an accessible house. You know, thinking that we're gonna be staying here.
Yeah.
To have a main living area downstairs, we don't really even have a full living room right now. And a main bathroom and a main bedroom is kind of the goal, just so it's all on one level for future. And that's what's driving the need at this point. We do have a small, you know, the upstairs is kind of small. It's the main bathroom and bedroom and sort of a half playroom upstairs.
How much space is there? I know you're really tight to your property line. Where is your neighbor's building over here?
Oh, okay, he's
The Hoyts, how far is?
Yeah,
set back, didn't do an actual measurement, but he'd be right around here.
You can see it in the picture.
Right.
The picture will help, yeah.
and, okay, so where do you wanna go?
There he is.
Okay, there's your neighbor, and you wanna go behind here?
Right, to the front of the house.
So this is facing the road.
Yep.
Right.
And
So
you
it's
wanna
coming out
go-
this way.
Back here, this is back towards the creek, right?
No, it's
this
on the
is
other
towards-
side.
Yeah, but you wanna go back here towards the creek with your addition?
No,
No,
towards
front.
the road.
Towards the road?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no place to put it into the shed.
But you already have a shed and a carport in between your house and the road, correct?
Mhm.
So this isn't, there's already structures in between
Correct.
you and the road, so this won't be like a new obstruction of the sight line.
No.
And it's
I
gonna
live
be,
around the corner from you. I'm,
Oh, really?
Okay.
and it's gonna be, you're gonna maintain the same side, you're on the sideline of the
Yeah.
property, or of the house.
Right, it's just
Go right
gonna,
to that
Right.
line, yes.
Yeah.
here's my little drawing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on my little drawing thing.
Yeah.
Probably had the architect made up.
You can push a mower alongside the house.
I'm sorry?
You can push a lawnmower alongside the house.
As long as it doesn't have a 48-inch cutting deck.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even so,
I don't know why they
we-
landlocked
We
it
share our, the lawnmower.
Right.
to the point where they did. It's,
Yeah,
Well, that
but
is-
someday you might have a different neighbor, that's when the problems arise.
right.
But
We got
the
a
damage has already been done, because the house is already only 3 feet and only 2 on the other side, I mean.
we have a house that's 6 inches on both sides. And they, for years, they were driving over the neighbor's lawn. And then the neighbor, and then they rent the house out every week.
Mhm.
And now the people bring all their ski toys and boat toys
Mhm.
on the neighbor's lawn. So we put up a
I
fence.
would get a little annoyed with that too.
oh, yeah.
Although if they're good neighbors, you kind of work together.
All right, does the board have any other questions? Is there anybody here to speak for or against this application? Okay, as I said earlier, we will be discussing this in a few minutes. You're more than welcome to stay and hear our discussion, and I probably will make a decision tonight. If not, you can call in the morning, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? All right.
Yeah, we can stay.
Just one question,
Yep.
if I remember right from years ago, when you grant an area variance, it goes with the property, not with the owner, right?
Right.
So it becomes, it stays with the structure, so that if somebody else moves in, they don't have to come and reapply. Okay, correct. Thanks.
Why don't we handle this? I closed the public hearings, let's deal with this one right now, okay? I gave that to you, right, Terry?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, type 2, negative,
you know,
undesirable change. The questions that we have to factor or consider, whether undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. I'm gonna say no, it's,
continuation of existing,
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of room
Yeah,
there,
it's
that's why.
already on the same building line, right?
yeah.
Staying on the same line, the key for me is that the shed and carport are already out in front, so we're not creating a new site line out in front.
Or nobody's view is blocked from that, you know, so.
okay. Whether benefits sought by the applicant could be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance.
The site you have here is a challenge, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, look at that, so
Yeah.
long and narrow, and the house is sort of
I'm gonna
maxed
say a
out
very
currently.
narrow lot.
Nowhere
What
else
is
to
the
put it.
width of the lot?
How? Get away with drawing lines like that in the first place.
It was probably done back when, nobody cared.
50 foot.
I'm gonna say very narrow lot and current house position on lot. Limit options. Whether the requested variance is substantial, yes, it is, but,
But there's no other alternative.
right,
Achieve the goals of the applicant in this instance.
okay. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood?
There haven't been any identified.
No, not identified. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, I'm gonna say no, it was an inherent part of the property purchase.
Age is a thing. If you want Kevin's 2 cents, he's leaving Oneida right now, he's chiming in.
Right.
I don't know if he's gonna get here in time. Is this
Right.
good now?
I just told him
Okay,
Yeah, I can tell him to go home. Tell him
Excuse me.
but be this good.
we excused him. It's not the absentee, it's an
tell him to go home. I thought I told him to do something, talk for 30 minutes straight.
Okay, the ZBA, after taking into considerations of the above 5 factors, finds, and I'm presenting this as a motion for approval. The benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or the community, and therefore the variance is approved.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Cliff seconds it. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Who was the second? Was it Cliff?
Cliff, yes, aye. Unanimous. Okay,
4-0.
get to work.
You're good.
Oh, thank you
You
very
don't wanna
much.
keep
Now,
going up
now
and
we
down
have a
those
year with the
stairs.
planning.
Get some air conditioning in that building.
Huh?
So make sure you put air conditioning in that room.
Well,
Best of luck, guys.
we don't have air, we have the little window air
The
conditioning
window,
now.
okay, window,
You know what?
window units look
Looks
good.
fine. My house
Oh, you
is
buy
very
the
fine.
correct, you know, it's gotta be real comfortable down by the water.
That's
Except for
true.
the bugs.
Oh, they've been horrible this year.
Yeah. Have you had a lot on your road?
Oh, I mean, you walk outside, they'll pick you up and carry you.
Oh, yeah.
They're bad at 5
Have the
in the
fish
morning.
connected with the creek?
They're bad at
Oh,
day.
very.
Today they're jumping all
All over the place today.
No fishermen out there either.
Yeah, well.
Where do you,
I
where
didn't
do
think
you
you were
live?
low enough. I always said you gotta get down.
lives
by the
in
road.
Manning's.
Mr. Manning, where do you live?
Up
Tell-
on Barrett Lane,
Which one?
Barrett Lane,
And the North Road.
the end of North Road, take a left,
Oh, okay.
on the way to Fisher Bay Restaurant.
Ah,
Or
all
what
right,
used to
well,
be
hopefully
Fisher
we'll
Bay
run into
Restaurant.
you again. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you all.
I know.
We'll switch gears and let's look at this possible application for next week. That way Karen can get out of here. Has anybody looked at it, you know? You got a packet here. Karen owns some land on Filer Road, a house and a barn, and she wants to subdivide it and divide the barn off and then sell, if I say something wrong, correct me, and then sell the lot with the barn. But according to our laws, you know, you can't build a building on a lot, you know, but she's trying to create a lot with a building. So, she talked to me a week or two ago and was just wondering, and I said that, you know, she could come here and we would discuss it a little bit, and then she would get an idea whether, you know, this is something the board would consider or not, you know, to save her the money and aggravation of having a hearing. I hope that I'm allowed to do things like that, you know.
You can talk about your feelings about it without, just so they
Right.
hear it. So this was at the planning board, and I was at the meeting, so the issue here is what Brian said, which is technically by subdividing it this way with a lot that already has a primary structure and then the barn as an accessory structure, the split would create a situation where the primary structure on the lot, the first lot, fine, no problem, that's what we allow. The second part is this accessory structure barn on a standalone lot, the way your code reads it now, it would not be allowed. So that's the issue. That's just what your law says. A lot of laws say that, but so be it. So what would they need? And I think the answer is technically they would need a use variance because it's not a use that's allowed on a lot like this. We do have a provision, which I don't know that would apply, because I think we talked about it at the planning board, which is you can get a standalone structure, but you gotta get a special use permit for it. I think there might be,
Nexus.
it's gotta have a nexus to the land, and I think
It's gotta have a what to the land?
Nexus.
a
In
connection
other
to the,
words, if you got a farm,
and actually, yeah, if you had a
and
farm.
you wanted to put a barn on it, that's a nexus.
This has electrical and everything's hooked to it like a house.
So, I mean, the other thing is they could make, it could make it a house, they could come in and say, we want this approved as a single family home, and that's fine, then, they don't really need a variance, right? Unless, is there a side yard issue here? And the lot area would be good for sure, right? I
My
mean, it's-
question is, I have a question, is it considered by the definition I was reading of accessory building? Because when he built the duplex, he had it ready to separate, but they never made him separate it when he got the building permit for it, so it kind of messed it up, because really this barn is not an accessory building to it, you know what I mean? Like it's a barn, horse barn that they did horses, you know what I
The
mean?
way our code, it's considered an accessory.
So the issue is, technically or theoretically, I think if you asked a fair-minded person, it would require a use variance, which is problematic because I've instructed a million times that use variances are so hard to get because of the self-created hardship section of your review. It's an automatic denial 10 times out of 10 if you come and ask for it to be created that way. It is a self-created hardship. What we've been trying to think outside of the box is because the people are nice people and we're trying to figure out a way to help them. And I mean, is it possible that this could be a single family home?
Yeah, I mean, Tom, he wants to keep it, and
But does he want to convert it to a single family home and meet the requirements of the state code?
Here,
for
let's
now?
back up, I
Somebody
can't
stay
quite
there.
remember. You own the property, how, when you say he, you?
no, I don't, I tried telling, I don't own the property, I'm a family friend, and I have it listed for sale. I grew up right down the road, a
Okay,
few houses down.
so you're
I used to
listed at
play
the
there and
person,
everything.
okay.
Yeah, so I just feel like the hardship was created when the town wanted to put it all together and didn't make him separate it when he originally got it. Because now, when I'm trying to sell it, an investor does not want a barn.
What did the town make him do?
No, I'm saying when he got his permit, I said, they didn't have him split it, cause he had it ready to split, because now it's causing a hardship, because no one wants,
Yeah, but
Investor
he wouldn't
doesn't
have
want
been
it
able,
hard.
he wouldn't have been able to split it
Yeah,
then.
it wouldn't, that wouldn't have been allowed in the first place.
He wouldn't have been
well,
able to
oh, it
split.
was before the amended,
Oh,
with
But
not
that,
allowing
but
the
that goes
structure.
back.
Yeah.
Either it would have, in 67, he
Yeah.
would have had to, split it in 67.
Right.
Oh, I thought that, you just made that new law like
No.
5-6 years ago.
No, the
Okay.
new law we're talking about is something that could allow this to exist if it had the nexus to the land and
okay.
met the other requirements.
What if there was a precedent of it? Because on my lot was originally 2 lots that had 2 sheds on it. And the big rub the guy, so I bought the house and that lot, and then he kept that side lot because he was gonna sell his building lot.
And the shed stayed there?
And the sheds were there.
Shouldn't have been allowed. Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't change the
Just-
zoning law because we made a mistake.
It just-
Oh, you're in
just-
trouble now, you
I
just
just
got
got-
your mouth
I
shut.
just spent $1,000 combining the 2 stupid things.
Oh, you did? You put them back together?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I wanna do something over there. and I
We
can't
have
do
this
anything.
problem all down the lake. People sell the house and they got the barn across the street, now they wanna sell the barn.
Yep.
Now it's undersized lot, no utilities, blah, blah, blah.
This is a buildable lot.
Well, could it be, if it could, I mean.
He
if-
wants to put a
if this was
house on
single-
it, actually, but not right away, but, cause he's in Delaware right
I
now.
mean, he couldn't get a permit today to make that an apartment.
You'd have to
in
bring
that
plans in to
barn.
convert it. He'd have to show you how he plans to convert it, and then
Right.
the best case, you don't wanna chase people, but you could give a time limit for when has to be completed and post a bond. If it isn't, then you take the bond, but nobody wants to do that.
All I know is he can't sell it, cause no one wants, no one wants to.
So in other words, her options are convert the barn to a house, and then you can subdivide
But
it.
then they have to go back to you guys for having a secondary structure on the property. And then split.
Wait, say that again? No, this barn, if she came in here and said, look, we're gonna subdivide this, and the part that's a barn now, we're turning it into a house.
But you can't have, this is a proposed subdivision, correct?
Right, yeah.
So then you'd have 2 structures on the same lot.
Not if you approve the subdivision. Am I wrong? You approve this, I see 2 structures here on this map.
Right.
One on lot 1 and one on lot 2. The proposed lot 2, I guess.
Yeah,
Lot
that's the
lot
duplex.
1 is the house though, so
Yeah, that's a duplex
that's
rent.
okay.
So that's 1A, right, lot 1A?
Yeah.
Proposed lot 1B, I'm saying that the applicant could say, lot 1B, I will convert it to a house. I guarantee, I will post a bond and I will turn it into a house to sell. Or live in.
Within.
That way you wouldn't
4
need the
months.
variance, is what I'm trying to.
Correct.
I'm trying to figure out a way not to get a variance here.
They can do it, and they can do a tiny
What if
house.
you tear down the barn?
No problem. Tear down the barn, you're up, you don't need
So
it.
that's another option.
It's a second.
Yeah.
Convert the barn into a house, tear the barn down,
Yeah.
or build
What's the
another.
condition of the barn?
That,
Is it,
that back needs work, but the front has got like a big expensive horse tub that you wash horses in. He had race horses there for years.
is the tub movable?
Oh God, it's a big huge cement thing.
Oh, it's a cement.
Yeah. See, someone would love to board
Build a
horses
house,
there.
you said the
I
secondary.
mean,
We went through this last month.
it's like a
Looks
little
you have
farm.
2 houses in, can't remember, you guys shot me down. You can't have 2 houses. If I have 100 acres, I can't build 2 houses on it.
Can if you subdivide.
yeah, they have
One
3
house
on
has
them.
its own law.
now.
You
Now, is that
guys
something-
should change your code if you guys don't like a lot of
Is
that
that
stuff in the
something
code.
new?
No, I think it's been that way ever since I've been here.
I would say.
I know, it's not
please,
gonna change the character of the neighborhood or anything, it's been there.
Right, 'cause
Is that,
The only way to make it a legally conforming lot is to make a portion of it residence.
No, that's why,
You could have
maybe you weren't here last month. I
Almost
was
not
talking
like a,
to
I mean, you could call it an
I think
apartment
it's
or
the
whatever, you can say
same
apartment
discussion,
size
so-
But you
residence,
could
it's
do-
still a single family
Right.
residence.
The
The
smallest,
problem is the
you
nature
can
of
do
the
a
lot.
tiny house,
So because it's gonna be a
For one
residential lot,
person.
we can't create a
It
lot.
meets the
that
code,
doesn't
yeah.
have primary
120
residence
square
on it.
feet of livable
Absolutely
space.
true.
okay, cause the front part, the rest is
That's
attic.
absolutely true. So that's another
It's a
option.
residential lot, so it has to have a primary residence on it. We can't create a lot
Mhm.
that's got an
Right.
existing structure that's not the primary residence. That's the rub.
Because you can't have an accessory building on a vacant lot. So people get vacant lots, they can't get a building permit to put a
Yeah,
accessory building
unless you get
on
a
it.
special use permit.
Which
I'm
you
still
can't.
looking for the darn.
I just thought the purpose of that was because it wouldn't blend in with the neighborhood or whatever.
It has to be the primary residence, has to be the first structure.
Now, there is no square footage for primary residence.
Okay,
Larry, what section, do you remember what
There's a
section
lot
that
of
special
views.
use permit is?
So you could take the smallest house you can build under the code, tiny house, 120 square feet.
well, okay.
Which is basically a closet.
Well, the new part could be, I mean, the new part up front that has the horse.
If you figure a 10 by 12
But I mean, he
area,
stays there, brings a camper and stays there once in a while when he comes
Yeah.
out.
Going
No,
there.
no, so-
How many-
I know,
Tell us
but just a couple days.
So you
How
have,
many
so you
feet
have
of
electric
frontage
there.
does
so
she
then-
Yeah, it's
need
electric,
in that?
gas.
So she's on, how many feet
Hot
of
water.
septic does she need there?
There's hot
In that
water.
zone, Larry, what's the frontage requirement in that zone? Is it,
100.
100 what? 150, what is it?
150, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wait,
this
yeah.
says,
What, file, is that part of town road or is that a county road, right? That's county road, right?
Yep.
Can you-
So
I think it's got
150s.
400 feet road frontage.
150 feet.
Oh, you got tons of road frontage.
Yeah, tons of
Right,
road.
so you would need to play with your line to get,
No, she's got it done.
No, it's already, he already had it subdivided, I mean, on the paper wise.
You get a draft.
Oh,
so-
yeah.
but there's
It
only
was done a long time
141.
ago.
But up front, see, the
Oh,
lot
that's
there
the
is.
back,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Can't find my regulation.
Pretty sharp for being out in the sun out there.
It took me a minute, I was doing the same thing.
How long do you have to put up a house if you say you're gonna put up a house?
Okay. Nope.
Well, they make you post a bond though, because
Oh.
we've had it where people did,
Yeah, I'm sure.
didn't build the house, I had to ask.
Oh,
them,
yeah.
you know. And the guys refused, to this day, I've taken them to court now, he won't build it,
Yeah.
and the judge keeps adjourning it.
Would they be allowed to have a contingency where like 24 months to build a house or tear
You
one
could
down?
set, you could set the contingency, but
The town doesn't like.
you don't like getting,
It'll-
believe me, you don't like getting in that, somebody's gotta keep an eye on it, and I'm not
Larry
saying you
loves
can't, you
policing
can do
things.
that, you can do it.
Larry, that's what he's getting paid the big bucks.
But you would put
Go out
it,
there
you
with
put
his
it in a
rod.
resolution.
I don't think
to
he
do with
wants.
that. But again, you're really not looking for a variance at that point.
Right.
Because you're gonna have a single family home and a lot, now, the planning board might say, I want no part of that kind of thing.
Well, I'm sensing from the board, you know, just getting a variance to separate it is not gonna happen, you know? We've discussed some possible options. I don't know if we've been any help or not, but, you know, you're not,
No, you guys are terrible.
No, we figured just take, I just figured, cause it's farmland and I guess it
Yeah,
just
no,
seems so simple to me, but it's not.
no, we,
You know, I mean, it's a buildable lot.
So, let's see,
But,
I cannot
I
find
mean,
the
we'll just have
criteria
to
for the standard.
burn the
So
barn
I'd say
down.
just get a permit for an
Take it down.
efficiency apartment within it or tear it down.
So it needs a kitchen, a bedroom, a closet, what else would it need? A bathroom.
A kitchenette.
Yeah.
A bathroom.
Yep.
And a combination living sleep.
I mean, so that's a pretty
I mean,
simple,
you would be
it'd have
willing
to
do
be
that.
inspected, you know.
120 square feet for
Okay.
one person.
And if you put that in that barn,
120?
you come back to the planning board for the, but you gotta
You get
coordinate it so it's
170 for
happening at the
2
same time to get the
Okay.
subdivision. You know what I mean, Larry? So they come back to the planning board, they gotta coordinate it right so that they can get the subdivision conditioned upon completion of the
Build out.
the build out within 6 months, a year, whatever it's gonna be, but they won't be able to file or record the subdivision map until you
the
certify
permit's done.
that it was done right, and then you can file it, then you don't have to come back to the planning board, because Larry would sign off on that.
Okay, so we would go to him first.
That, it's probably a good solution, because then you
I
don't,
mean, you could use it, I
yeah,
mean,
a use variance is really hard to get.
Then he wouldn't need his trailer.
while taking care of, 2 tenants is, you're back and forth, that's why he wants to sell it, he's done, Get to a point where you don't wanna do that anymore.
all right, like I said,
Okay, thank
I
you.
don't know if you're very much help.
I'll run it by him and
I
see,
think this is a lot better than when we were in front of planning board, I was afraid they weren't gonna be able to figure this out, but you
yeah.
guys did a good job with this,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I just maybe have you come out and look at it and see what we can do, I don't know.
Architect.
All right, first hearing, that was,
Oh, boy, thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Nice to see you.
Two
Yeah, bye.
negative declaration, whether undesirable change would be producing character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. I said no, none identified, it's a rural area. Number two, whether the the benefit sought by applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. I kinda say yeah, cause it could be put out back, but the applicant wants to keep the distance from the house to provide drainage. Also, the driveway will be able to be used. So, any other thoughts on that?
Again, there was a super narrow lot and they didn't have a, right, how wide is that lot?
65 feet.
65 feet,
Yeah.
because
That's tough.
Yep, and, let's see.
is there 3 feet on one side and 2 feet on the other? And
This is a whether the requested variance is substantial, I said yes, but not a determining factor. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? I wrote no. Rural area and neighbor's house is not too close. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, yes, not a determining factor. Again, the lot size,
the house was already there.
lot size.
Cliff, that lot's 50 feet wide, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's only 50.
I think the benefit of the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community, and therefore I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance as stated.
I'll second.
Just make a note,
Conditions, right? You had conditions you talked about there.
just the 5 feet, you know,
That's the closest portion of it would be.
right.
It includes any eaves, right?
The eaves cannot be any closer.
And you wanted the siding to match the main building, I think you said, or not?
He said that.
Oh.
He said he was gonna.
Do you want that or not? It's up to you.
Nah,
What was the second one you said? 5 feet is the closest point, including
eaves,
eaves.
right.
I don't buy that we needed it for drainage. I mean, 6-inch drain tile down.
Yeah, but I guess I think having 8 or 10 feet between the house, I'd rather have it over there than putting the house and the two together. I mean, if there was a neighbor's house right there next to the property or something, I would think differently, but.
See, I thought that was code on the detached garage, I swear.
Not anymore,
Used
it's
to.
changed.
It used to be,
Yeah.
yeah,
It used
because
to
I
be
know
10
I
foot.
had to have mine
So
set
it's better to have it
apart
farther
from.
away, I think, keep it down.
What happened was, the international code said all single-family homes need to be sprinkled. Except New York State. They opted not to. So by putting a sprinkler in, it got rid of that 5/8 drywall. New York State forgot about that. Because now you only need a 1/2 inch drywall. And they've gone back to the ICC to say, no, I want 5/8 back. And the ICC keeps saying no,
Okay,
because they want them to put sprinklers in.
wow.
So we have some good people in Albany.
This is gonna be a type 2, by the way.
So you're saying every house in the country
This
that's built now has to have sprinklers?
Yeah, my type was
Except
gonna be
New
type
York.
2.
New construction.
Or Orange
Cliff,
County.
you checked that one for type 2?
I did.
Orange County has a sprinkler.
That's wild. Sprinklers in all new houses. That's a lot of money.
Next year, you gotta put EV plugs in for your electric cars and solar panels.
Hey, not to jump around, but I did find that section, I forgot. The other problem we had was if we tried to use that special permit, there was a minimum acreage that she wasn't.
10 acres.
Yeah, so that was gonna be one of the problems. So that's irrelevant, I just, took me forever to find it, I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah. I think giving her the 2 choices of put something tiny in there or tear it down, and you can have a lot.
That's good.
So we're about where you clip, sorry, before we interrupt you.
No, I made a motion.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I seconded.
Oh, you're on
Second.
conditions.
So we got a motion, a second, to accept the application. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Aye, unanimous again.
And Jerry, the one that they referenced out loud was it would be no closer at any portion of the structure, including the eaves, than the requested 5 foot.
What happened with
And
the?
just out of,
Trellis.
Trellis, you wanna talk about that now?
What happened?
Our zoning code states that an interpretation of the zoning code, you can file a request with the zoning board of appeals on a form that they provide the public. We do not have a public forum. I copied this from some other town in the state. Basically what it says is interpretation or other appeal application, but our other appeal application is a ZBA application. We already have that form. So this would be strictly an interpretation application.
So you want the board to authorize the use of that form for official requests for interpretations. Remember, with an interpretation, you fill this form out, if you say this is a form we want, and then it comes to you administratively, there'd be a public hearing scheduled, just like any other application. And the reason you need to do this is because whatever your interpretation is, basically the code will forever be read that way, because you guys are like the courts when they interpret federal or state laws. Like, what does this law mean? You guys say that. And whatever, this is the form that we use for everything. So if these people file that request, then you use that form to determine this question about, is a trellis in this instance a fence or whatever.
Why don't we have a form?
Nobody's ever requested an interpretation.
It's fairly rare to get the interpretation. I see them in a lot of my places, but some places have a form and some places the people write some sort of a letter and ask for it, whatever. But it's good to have a form.
So what happened? And the neighbors put this trellis that close to their neighbor's house?
They put it 1 foot off it.
so the house in question is what, 6 inches from their house to the property line, okay? The previous owner had a breezeway through the house to get the mower from the front to the back. They remodeled the house, did away with the breezeway. The new owner has to take the lawnmower onto the neighbor's property to get to their backyard. And to make things even worse, the person that owns the house rents it out all summer long. So every week, there's a different family partying there, bringing their toys, their beer and everything across the neighbor's property instead of tracking through the house. So the neighbor got a little tired.
And he put up a potting trellis.
Yes.
So that they
He's calling it a trellis, not a fence, when in actuality,
And I
it's
cited it
truly a
for a
variance.
fence,
And Larry's,
because we don't have a trellis in our ordinance.
So I think I think Larry's position is it's arose by any other name. So if you look at that, Larry's judgment, he looks at this, in his mind, and maybe reasonable people would agree, it has all the aspects, characteristics that maybe a fence would have, other than that it's got somebody put a planter on it, and it's got a little bit of a different look. Regardless of the other facts, if it comes to you, you would be asked, in this instance, is this structure, does it equate to a fence under our code? Because it's true that we don't define trellis, but a fence, you don't, there might not be a specific definition that'll help you, but you're here to interpret the code either way, what it could mean. Now, we are working on a code that's really done, it's essentially written up. We just have to get it to the town board, or the town board has it too, but it has to get subject to a public hearing. I think we have that definition in there for a fence somewhere there. And is anybody meeting with Frank to go? I remember Phil and Frank were gonna give one last run through and get it. And I did talk to John and the town board about moving that thing forward. So whenever you guys are ready, it's just sitting in my office. It's a much better zoning code overall. We can make it even better, but it's thick, it covers a lot of stuff. And it's kind of up to date with what goes on in today's world. A lot of our stuff's kind of old.
Well, so then what's this guy's solution to stop people from walking through the yard?
you put the trellis up.
Right, but we're not gonna call it a trellis because we don't have a trellis in our codes, so we're gonna redefine it as a
You have to get a
fence.
variance.
Well,
And then he's gotta have it a foot back, and then they'll have a foot and a half, they'll still walk on his property.
But then he can ask for a variance to put it.
Well, if somebody's trespassing on your property, you call the police. I And that's the thing, you guys as a zoning board don't need to get involved in, hey, there's a party going on at
The
three,
only,
that's
the
your
only
outlet.
thing you could, if you fill that out and says it does not, this is not a fence according to your code, you could either say, yes, it does meet the definition of fence, or you could say, no, it does not meet the definition of fence. If you say no, then it stays where it is,
You know, it'll end up going
If
to
we
court.
say yes, it's a
and
fence,
then it goes
then
to
it's a
court
violation.
because, but not because of us. It goes to court civilly.
If the neighbor that owns the house wants to challenge it.
But you really haven't made a definition of fence, you just said it doesn't meet,
You said this isn't a fence.
it isn't a fence, that's all you're saying.
Or we're saying it is a fence.
If you say it is a fence, then
But it's done.
he has to remove it.
And they're still pursuing it, they're just waiting on us.
Yep.
All right, so you want us to pass this form if we like it, and then,
Yeah,
You want us to approve it, I don't see any harm to it.
I mean, I might tweak it a little bit.
yeah, no, it looks good. With a quick look over, yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Is there any reason, John, to think that if it's good for another town, that it can't be used here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I mean, I've accepted people writing letters for stuff like this, but it's good to have a standardized
Or
form.
they did write a letter,
Yeah. Well, what I wanted them to do was to take a formal appeal, say this constitutes my appeal, and there should be a fee established, but it's published a public hearing notice and cover all that stuff that you do with any of the people that were here tonight. It's not, nobody's gonna want
while he's looking at it, if everyone wants to take a look at the minutes, I know Cliff wasn't here.
There wasn't a meeting.
But we gotta approve the June,
Oh, June.
actually, June, you were here, were you? Yeah. Cliff wasn't here. Oh.
I remember this. My friend from
Storage
Brooklyn wasn't
containers.
happy. Yeah. I'll submit a motion for approval as submitted.
Well, there we have an application for use in area variance.
I will second
Don't
it.
get rid of that stuff, just use this just for interpretation.
yeah,
Take out number two
yeah,
and three.
that's what I said, I tweaked it a little.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Steve? Second?
I'm giving Brian a second to look at it.
So you gotta figure out what the fee's gonna be for this. Would you make it similar to an area variance?
Should make it- It's a zoning application.
Yeah,
so it's $50.
Is use variance and area variance the same cost, then I'd make it the same.
Yep.
And then the idea is it helps pay for the publication, and in theory, all of your massive salaries you guys get for what you're doing here is supposed to be, over time, offset by application, and deferred by your application fees for everybody that comes before you. That's part of helping offset that.
So we'll set a fee $50?
I think it's probably fine to do it that.
I agree, it makes sense to me, it's
Yeah.
less complicated, oh, let's see, how much keep it simple.
And you want it to be something, because you don't want people just showing up with 400 interpretations every week, every month, you know?
Nobody would do that.
Oh, I know, I have some places I work where they would absolutely, somebody in the town would just pull a bunch of stuff like that. But it's fair for a fair application fee, not too much money, not too little. And then again, it has to have a legitimate basis to the actual expense of the town, which is.
Minutes all right with you?
Larry's salary.
All- Jerry approved the minutes, I seconded them, all in favor of the minutes as written, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anything else on the agenda for next month? Uh-oh,
Mhm.
is that stacked there?
Mhm.
That means
Whoa!
we're not earning.
Whoa!
No,
the town-
this is for each person.
Oh, thank goodness.
What was
Is
that?
that only one then? One application?
No, there's two.
Two?
I have them already instead of mailing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Are-
I like
are they
to
area
save
variance?
money.
One is,
Question, no.
rear setback. Do you wanna talk about this, Larry?
Well, you probably should talk about it at the next meeting.
Yeah, right,
You
at the
don't
next
wanna,
meeting.
you don't wanna prejudge anything. What's,
Thank you.
what's the other one? One's a rear yard, what's the other one?
There, I'll take Mike's.
What's the other one? Rear yard, and the other one is side yard.
Okay, simple.
And
Thank you.
And we're gonna put a 50 feet
Is there anything else need to be brought up before the board here?
So this
before
been approved?
Yes.
That form has been approved, the administrative form's been approved by the
with a
ZBA.
$50 fee.
With a $50 fee.
Okay.
Well, you got that field agreement.
Did we need to, we didn't do that by a motion, you want a motion and all that for that? No.
It's up to you, I don't,
Okay, no.
Now,
Yes,
is
the
that all
board
going in
agrees.
the minutes?
Okay.
yeah, I think you can put the
That
reference
we
that
just
Larry had
discussed
a
it.
proposed form for the, and the
Okay.
board reviewed it, was agreeable, Larry's gonna make a minor change. to it.
Yeah, you'll
Okay.
fine tune it.
And
Okay,
that's what we use, that setting a $50 fee. And when the town board establishes their fee schedule next year, they'll cover that too, so. Take it from there.
all right, I adjourn the meeting.